Let me, real quick question is Calamus, the ports, are they on the agenda for tomorrow? Do you know? I'm just trying to see if I can speed up and get you out of here if it's a single item.
I think we're waiting for Joseph as well to come in on that one.
Okay, so we'll just move along. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Good morning, Mr. Sean Roy, Finance Director. Today we have our budget reviews. The first one up is going to be, oh, it appears that Joseph is online if you wanted to take that item first.
Does anybody mind? I think it'll probably be pretty quick when we get you out of here. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
I should ask if you guys mind. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure what we have. Okay. Joseph, there you are.
Good morning. Can you all hear me, commissioners?
We can. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for putting this up in the agenda. I think it should just take a few minutes. There's a very brief PowerPoint that I shared with the clerk of the board, and I think it should be able to run so you can all see it. Just a 5-slide just to kind of illustrate a project that the Port of Kalama is looking at putting as a celebration of America's 250th anniversary. Is that PowerPoint available?
She's pulling it up.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So I'll just I'll blab away while she's loading it up. And then also I saw that Mark and Eric from the port, I think, were in the room too, so they can also chime in as well. But I'll just talk on behalf of the America 250 committee that meets at the museum on the fourth Tuesday evenings every month. And it was proposed that there could be a really nice public art project at the Port of Kalama to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. And it's also a piece that could last for decades to come as a tourism attraction as well. And if the America 250 committee was interested in helping to promote this piece of art at a unveiling or an event this summer to coincide with the 250th anniversary, I did have a chance to talk to the committee, and there was a general agreement that they would be interested in helping to promote and support this in any way that they have the capacity to do so. They are just primarily curious about when this would happen so that they could schedule things, but that could happen at a later date. But that was something that they wanted to do. If the PowerPoint is available, this, I think the picture speaks 1,000 words here on this. So Commissioner Rader had reached out to me, informing me that the Port of Kalama was interested in a large eagle, metallic eagle project that could celebrate the 250th anniversary and also serve as kind of a public art enhancement along the waterfront. We can go ahead to the next slide, please. And these are just some images that the artist has that are stock images of what this eagle could look like. It would have a wingspan, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the gentleman from the port, that I think it would be about 24 or 25 feet wingspan. And again, it would be located at the frontage of the Port of Kalama. I will go ahead to the next slide, please. Total cost for the project would be about $100,000 for the construction and another $40,000 for installation. With the Port of Kalama has already, I believe, offered to offset a considerable amount of those costs. Some of the costs would come from local donors and municipalities. I believe there would be an ask for the county to see if they can support this as well. And I see Sean is here also that might be able to talk about that. I think there was some trail funds that were already allocated to the port that might be able to be applied to this project. Again, unveiling hopefully around July 4th, on or around. Time is of the essence, of course, on this project because the artist will need some lead time. And this could be a signature event because all the different organizations that are involved with America 250 are all doing their own special events within their own umbrellas. This is actually something that everybody in the community could come to as a big signature event for celebrating our I can't pronounce it, the sesquicentennial or something like that, the 250th. Let's go ahead to the next slide, please. And here's just a picture of the art, a similar piece being installed, and then on the sky view, looking down, bird's eye view of, or eagle's eye view, I'll call it, of the location is the little red triangle, or not triangle, red rectangle there would be roughly where the eagle would be located, near where the ships might come in, that the cruise ships that go up and down the river. We'll go ahead to the next slide, please. And again, the America 250 group could assist with any event organization, promote the event through its social media, through other advertising means. Also, representatives of the different organizations could be there as partners of America 250. The county is an America 250 partner with the state, as is the museum. The library, the Kelso Library and the Longview Public Library, I believe, are also members of or partners with the statewide America 250. And again, an event that everybody can come together and gather to celebrate. And this is something that would be long lasting because all the other uh, events that commemorate and celebrate America's 250th they might be a parade or some other special event. This is something that will be long lasting, that could last for decades because it is a piece of public art. And I think that's it. There's a picture of our committee at the Sons of Norway building at the December meeting. And we have about usually 15 to 20 people show up for these meetings. That's all I have to say regarding that. If you have any questions, I'm sure you may have questions regarding other aspects regarding the artwork that perhaps Mark or Eric from the port could address if they have anything that I may have missed on this.
Much as, go ahead. Well, much as I like this idea, if we can find the money for it, I guess I've been fishing outside of the port of Kalama several times. And the winds that go through there, I can envision this bird is either A, going to take off, or B, have a broken wing in short order. Can't imagine what the hell it's built out of. It's going to withstand with a 25-foot wingspan.
So, Mark, for the record, Mark Wilson, executive.
Turn your mic on.
Sorry. For the record, Mark Wilson, executive director with the Port of Kalama. Yes, you're right. We do get a lot of wind down there on the waterfront. We've had a couple conversations with the artist. These are designed to withstand very strong winds. It weighs close to 3,000 pounds when it's done, and it's all structural steel, very large components inside, all welded. And this particular artist has a history of doing some really large art. He's currently building about a 50-foot dragon that actually breathes fire. So he's quite accomplished. He was a metal fab operator before he became an artist, so he understands structures and the like. We will also be working with a structural engineer to design the foundation, and with that, he will have a conversation with the artist to make sure that the foundation and the eagle all work together so that there's not a problem with that. We'll basically treat it like a big billboard with the winds down there, and we'll set it so that it's parallel to the common direction of the winds, not facing it so that it's as big a wind target.
Does he give you a warranty for the first 5 years that he'll fix it if it breaks?
I'm pretty sure this guy would. He's a pretty solid guy.
Okay.
Mark, can you touch on the level of financial commitment that the port is willing to put into it?
Well, at this point, I have this as an agenda item for my port commission meeting on Wednesday night. So the commission has not taken action on it. But we will be requesting is to enter into the contract with Kevin Stone, the artist. And it requires a $50,000 deposit, half down, to get him started. So we will be asking the commission to take that step right there. And then what always happens in a situation like this is we'll be the ones that back clean up, assuming that we don't get it, if there's not a lot of other money that comes in. We do have a prominent member of our community that sits on city council that's going to be fundraising to help us fundraise privately. And we have a little nonprofit in Kalama that we can do that through, which has a 501c3. So we'll be seeking donations that way. We're out talking to other folks like yourselves just to see if there's any interest in participating, with the idea that there'll be a plaque or some other way of commemorating those that contributed to this and in recognition of the 250th. So at this point, I'm still waiting for my commission to make a final decision. We had it for them for consideration at the last meeting, but one of my commissioners just retired at the last meeting, and he was one of the two there, and they didn't want to make that decision on behalf of the commissioner that wasn't there.
Sean, have we looked into if there's any options available to help fund it?
So we did take a look at that. Our lodging tax grants have expired for the application period on that. We would look at more of an indirect funding source where the port could apply for, say, rural county public facilities that we'll talk about later today. Or we recently awarded a path and trail dollars for the bridge. So maybe they could apply for that again in a different aspect, but more of an indirect commitment on this one instead of a direct commitment.
What does indirect mean?
That we'd be able to help fund a different project and where those funds could be used to the project itself.
Okay, I see.
I'm not hearing any resistance to try and being part of this. So I would say we'll leave it with Sean. If we can come up with something, I think it's a good project, and we'll try and be part of that, Mark.
Yeah. We appreciate that, and we weren't expecting a decision today. We just wanted to get in front of you. Joseph had done a great job of putting the slides together and laying out the example of what it could be. We have about 4 to 5 months of fabrication time on this, so we have to enter into the contract and get them started. And so we're right up against timelines. That's why we're out talking about it now, and why I'm asking my commission to take the lead on it and move forward. So.
Okay.
That's where
How
we're at.
high up is this thing gonna be mounted?
That's still for consideration. My hope is to keep it down low enough that people can take pictures with it and make it part of an attraction that goes on for a long time.
Okay.
And is the port going to be, Joseph, are you guys going to be working together for the unveiling and whatever that is going to look like?
Yeah, obviously we will want to really make this an opportunity to celebrate the 250th. It's a great chance to do that. You know, and the beauty of this eagle on that waterfront is we watch the eagles out there every day doing fishing and sitting on the piling and doing all of those great things. So it's a part of who we are as a community, and it'll be a great example of art that people can enjoy for decades.
And I would be happy to work with the Port of Kalama on this unveiling, and work with the America 250 committee to get them to help support us in any way that they can. I know that the Chamber of Commerce has already expressed a definite interest in this project.
Cool.
Good.
Great.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for accommodating my schedule. I have a 10 o'clock back at the office that I got to get back to. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for adjusting the schedule too. I appreciate that, commissioners.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully the real eagles won't see it as a threat and start attacking it.
Well, that could be interesting.
That'd be different, wouldn't it?
Thank you, Kelly. Starting over. So Sean Roy, Finance Director, here today for budget reviews. The first one we have is Human Resources. Jessica's here with me. So on the revenue side of things here, the first time we've ever budgeted in here was in 2024. We don't have a budget for 25. It is usually small miscellaneous values. Can range all over the place. for different things, but nothing of a constant value that comes in on the HR side. To expenses, please. For expenses in 25, personnel, labor and benefits was about 531,000. Spent was 467. We had some openings during the year. Jessica can talk about that here in a little bit. For supplies, we spent 11,000 of 19,850. Most of this was going to be about 6.6 thousand for employee recognition items, and then office supplies after that. For services, we spent a little over 94,000 of $111,000. Of that, the most expensive three are first going to be our internal services. For IT, that was about 41.2 thousand. Next going to be professional contracts at 37.4. That's going to include attorneys, employee EAP programs, and other benefit items. And the last one, there's advertising, about 8.3 thousand. So open positions and things of that nature. And really want to give Jessica some time to chat on those.
I'm just here if you have any questions.
Actually, I do have a couple of questions, Sean. When we pay for our risk pool premium, is that an internal charge to the departments? Do we allocate a percentage of that to each one of them?
We do.
Where is it reflected in here?
So this one for HR was not a large value. It's just employees, and there's a small value of employees there. For general fund, most of the risk is going to be the insurance on the buildings, and that's going to be out of the facilities department.
Okay. So for you, Jessica,
Mhm.
how is it going with handling some of the risk stuff in your office?
It's still really early to tell. I know that my staff have been training with Shelley and kind of getting their heads wrapped around what our tasks are. I was on vacation last week, so I haven't been able to check in with them to see how it's going. But I should be able to provide an update for the board soon.
Is Katrina the one that's handling all the?
Katrina and then Maddie's a backup in the sense of training, and just so we have two sets of eyes on it.
I think we're meeting tomorrow to review that for the first little bit of that,
Oh,
correct? And so overall, we're talking about budget returns. So HRs would have been about 13.6% overall, or about $90,000. But like we said before, there was quite a few open positions during the year. I believe the deputy was open for some time as well.
Yeah, my deputy was open at the beginning of the year, and then there was some leave situations, so.
We wouldn't expect that in the future. That's it for HR.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
See you later.
And thanks for letting us steal some of your time at the beginning.
Next up, we have OPD. I think Ian's joined me here. Quick run through on revenues here, just to get a general idea. In 2025, we budgeted intergovernmental about $296,000. Of that, we received 248. There was an internal error in the budget department. We did amend an additional $44,000 in there twice. So that does make that difference. Goods and services, 20,000 of 50,000 there. And then other financial sources, 316 of 320, that's gonna be transferring in of mental health tax previous. Moving forward, we'll probably readjust that good and services line. Historically, it's been more in the $20,000 to $21,000 range. We'll be bringing that back down. Any questions on the revenue side?
How much reimbursement do you get from the state?
I think that was included on a recent budget report. I don't want to misstate. I want to think it was 260 some odd $1,000 from state OPD in our yearly support grant.
But it's pretty small percentage, right? Because I think then they give about 8 million or something last year for all the counties.
Yeah, math not being my strong suit, it's less than 10%.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, for 2026, you're right, it's at about 265,000. In 2025, it was a lower value, about 135 with a fellowship grant in there as
It's-
well.
Yeah, they did increase it knowing that they're making things harder, but it's not the increase we would hope to see.
Well, most states are like 50-50.
A lot of states
And
have.
we're
yeah.
not even close to that.
Nope.
And
And again, the last time I was here, there's talk on the legislative level from kind of representatives from public defense offices, but there's no legislation actually being put forward for consideration or anything in the near future that we're
No,
aware of.
it sounds like they're, from meeting on Thursday, that they're still gonna continue with the lawsuit and then work through appropriations. We weren't, as a group of counties, we weren't willing to settle for anything because we're just so far out of line with other states.
Right.
I mean, we have, and I won't get into the details of the counties, we got counties talking that when they run out of money, they'll just shut down OPD and the state will have to take it over because they don't have the funds. I mean, it's a pretty big deal in Washington State that if our own number shows they fund about 10% or less than that, they're constitutionally mandated to cover this, and our state does not do that.
Oregon last year, there were entire court dockets that were shut down, criminal charges dismissed.
And I'm starting to hear some of those rumors across our state because some of these counties, especially smaller ones, don't have the funds to cover this.
And even
Okay.
more so from not just a financial standpoint, Chairman, but I also read an article that said that there are counties, because I guess there's a time frame from the time somebody gets arrested that they have to be in front of a judge, that they're so backed up because of this, that they're just letting people out. They're letting them go.
We just shortened it. The Supreme Court just shortened it as of, it was November of last year. You have to be before the judge within 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
So.
And I know we're talking about your current budget, but I think it's important that people be aware of the issues we're struggling with on this side, and the remedies we're after to try and fix are it's a little bit difficult, and we're in a state that is not, quite frankly, according to our state constitution, is not holding up its end of the bargain, and they need to. Anyway.
The only other note I have is the janitorial services that we no longer have at our office. We are kind of at a point right now where we're figuring things out. My office manager has really stepped up for the office. We are seeking some remedies. I know it's a time where we're trying to limit our budgets and shorten them. I do see a need there to potentially come before the board in the not too distant future and ask for an actual budget line and increase, just so that we can have kind of a basic janitorial service provided for our offices. We've come up with ideas for maybe comp time for support staff and other things, but then I think we're going to be falling behind on our daily job tasks for those individuals that are otherwise legal specialists and office specialists. So put that on your radar.
It's a good segue into expenses then, please, Kelly. So I don't want to sound like a broken record up here every time we talk about personnel. In 2025 year to date, we're 2.85 of the 3.14. I'm sure Ian can talk more about his open position throughout the years and how those affects those numbers. Supplies, it's a very tiny bar graph, but of the 25,000 we had budgeted, we did spend a little shy of 59. Part of that was an accounting entry though, for recognizing some software. And that was about, let me look at my notes, about $36,000. So if we look at it holistically, we were in a closer range to what the graph shows. Last one here is services. Just shy of 1.4 of the 1.5. But we look into that more detailed, public defenders, the more conflict attorneys, I believe it would kind of call them, was about $672,000 of that. The next one was IT charges at 215,000. Then we have professional services at 171, which is more, investigators, doctors, things of that nature. And then court-appointed attorneys at 170,000. So that's kind of the top four breakdown of that era, just to give some more context to that line.
And the commissioners are far too familiar with that issue last year that we've now remedied and been able to see the budget's gone back to what it was in 2024 and 2023 for that issue, because I think we've fixed it with the support of the commissioners. We really appreciate that. So
Yeah, good.
And I could speak to, I feel like I jinxed myself when I say we're stable with our staff. I came here at the end of last year with our budget and said, we've got a steady kind of stable of attorneys and things are going well, and people are getting their 3, 4, 5 years in with their office, which is ideal. And now we're at a point where I have one senior attorney retiring in the not too distant future, and one senior attorney just took a court commissioner position. I'll be back with Jessica here in not too long to ask to fill one of those senior positions. When the other one becomes available, I will hope to reclass that to an associate level attorney. So that is such a fluid part of our office that just kind of the need creates what we do with those positions. But otherwise, things are looking good. We have, I think, about 5 now fresh out of law school attorneys that are being trained by myself and my deputy director. That's really what keeps our office thriving, is those people. Not only do they get a student loan forgiveness for working for a government office for 10 years, so hopefully they stay with us that long. Nonetheless, it really provides a bright look at the future, because these are people that we know, we have taught, they know the ways we do things here in Cowlitz County instead of coming from elsewhere, kind of doing things in a foreign way to us. So I think in the long term, we look pretty solid as far as our employment and what the future is for our office.
Ian, outside of the Supreme Court ruling about counties being able to sue the state, what are you guys hearing about the caseload standards and what's moving forward with that?
So I try to block out the larger counties, the people that wanted this big change. I'm talking to smaller county directors, and we're all pretty unified in how we're approaching it, with the kind of step increase that we are doing. As long as we hire in advance of the changes that are coming, I think we're going to be fine. This year, the commissioners, have already given me permission to hire somebody. We already know who that is, because we got a grant for an intern last year that was just so amazing that when she graduates law school, she's going to rejoin us. She's from Woodland. So that's great. That's a local talent. So as long as that continues to be what we do, how we manage this situation, we already have the office space now with the purchase of the 3rd floor. That's what we're going to have to do, but we just have to be very proactive in hiring before the need comes around. So, I mean, I'm still optimistic that we're going to be able to manage it. I'm also optimistic that the Supreme Court in their order and their ruling said after year 3, we're going to do an entire evaluation of these changes. And if the desired impact's already been met, perhaps we don't need to go steps 4 through 10. I'm remaining optimistic that will be the case, because I think there will be a loud enough joint unified statement from the smaller counties to say, we've managed, we've done what you've asked, and caseloads have been reduced now 30% in those 3 years. Don't do it anymore. And I think if there's enough of us to say that, King County already went to step 10. They're a large voice that got this done. Spokane as well. They've already gone to step 10. So if they want to remain there, go for it. I don't know how long they'll be able to do that, but I think it kind of has opened it up. If we can readjust and say, we think it wasn't an issue to begin with, but we've addressed your concerns, let's stop at step 3. I'm still hopeful we can do that.
Is the premise of the lawsuit for the state to provide funding if they're going to institute that, or is it to restructure that? Chairman, have they talked about that?
The lawsuit is to fund what they're supposed to fund.
It's to fund what they initially should have been funding in the first place,
Yeah.
as well as we know we've
Probably
made it a lot harder.
before,
for
probably
you.
even before the lawsuit. I mean,
Yes, the need was there
because
before.
they woefully underfunded, according to our own constitution, for a long, long time.
And that's why the grant went up $120,000 for this year. I think that's acknowledging it's been too little for too long. And the hope would be with this lawsuit, it weighs in. Now you're making it even more difficult. Now we have to hire more. We have to lessen the load for the people we hire. That's going to, where does that money come from? How do we pay from the extra attorneys that we need to hire to satisfy the need? So
Where's the Bar Association stand on this?
bar associations full-throatedly behind the change to the
Yeah.
lower standards. They were one of the main entities pushing for it. And most of
I
their
won't
board is
even
made up
travel
of
that road,
attorneys
'cause-
from King County, Pierce County, Spokane County, larger counties.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Ian.
That's it for the budget review. Any other questions for us? Thank you.
Thanks. Agenda items, looks like Deborah, I see.
Good morning, Deborah Gardner, County Treasurer. I have my Chief Deputy Randy Goslin here today. We have 2 items on the consent agenda tomorrow. There's 2 RCWs that by the first Monday in February, we have to present to the board. One of them is the refunds that we do throughout the year. So we have a list of all the refunds. So the tax roll is certified, and throughout the year, refunds are issued. Say a senior applies for a senior exemption, they get a refund. Sometimes it can go back, well, it can go back 3 years. So depending on how far back they qualify for the exemption, we issue those refunds, and corrections to the roll and any of those types of items are on the refund list. We also have a RCW that has to do with uncollectible personal property accounts. These are accounts that are either mobile homes or businesses that have closed, and they are closed and disposed of, or there's no way for us to collect or foreclose or do a distraint on those properties. So after we have done our due diligence and processing and trying to collect the taxes, we present them to the board and we write them off. So we have a list of those properties here as well.
These are ones that can disappear real quick, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
or,
it's not like a house sitting there.
yeah. Usually they're mobile homes that have been destroyed or
Yeah.
moved and they're still on the roll. Do you want to explain more on the, how the real personal property businesses?
Would even be like a business that closed down and then it took its inventory somewhere or something.
That's
of that
exactly
nature.
right.
Yeah.
That they've removed the inventory for the business before we have had an opportunity to get payment or to distrain them. Oftentimes, it's a couple of years before they actually come off the tax rolls, which this entire list, the mobile homes and the personal property are completely off the tax rolls now, whether or not they had been removed or closed in years prior and just weren't caught in the assessment. We're not sure, but
You have a rough dollar amount on these two?
Yeah, the write-offs for the mobile homes and the personal property is $41,402. And the amount of refunds that we've issued throughout the year was $751,676. And with the refunds, when the assessors do the levy process, those types of refunds, their administrative refunds can be recouped by the district. So they get a list of those dollar amounts, and that can be added back into the next year's levy because those are taxes that were lost in that process.
So are you saying that refund is spread out across all the tax holders the next year?
It can be, yes. That's the total for all districts throughout the county. And that information is provided to all the districts when they're doing their levy process, and they can
add it in.
They can add it, or if they choose not to, it's not a mandatory, but they can. All right. You have anything? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Risk.
Good morning, Shelley Pierce, Risk and Safety Manager. I have an agenda item for tomorrow. It's our Washington risk pool resolution. We updated it with a new finance director, removing Kathy, adding on Sean. There was no financial impact, just an update of the overall resolution for all contact information. That's it. Any questions?
I have a question that's off topic.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring this up before the three of us. We have our risk pool conference in March.
Mhm.
Is that something that we still feel the need that we should be attending?
There's going to be 3 throughout the year. So and there are scholarships available. The risk pool does pay for a portion of almost all of it, anywhere between 1 and 2 participants. But yes, if you guys don't feel that there needs to be representation, then I will clear my calendar from it. I did plan on attending the one in Wenatchee. The first one's in Wenatchee. The second one's in Richland. So you just let me know if you want me to still attend.
Well, from a personal standpoint, I know that we're planning on looking elsewhere, but I actually learn a lot when I go to those conferences, just in talking to the other people and gain a better understanding of how it works. But I wanted to get a general consensus with us if we still feel that it's something that we need to be attending, since we have the plans that we do.
I just thinking, I don't think I'd have any heartburn if they attended, just because we're still there and kind of keep us updated. Although I agree, I think we're moving elsewhere, but
Okay.
just to keep updated with what they're doing there.
So I'll plan on attending that too.
Okay, I will as well. There's also the Prima conference that we're annual members of. That's every year in June, and it's where I do most of my networking, learning of best practices, risk and safety trends, how to handle things, new vendor management systems. So that's where I bring a lot of that knowledge from as well. And
But
that's in
not
June.
through the risk pool, right? That's just.
Prima is its own, it's supported by the risk pool, but it's its own national risk management type networking system. And it's throughout all of the United States, and it's where everyone comes together. There's a lot of colleges, universities, municipalities, so you're getting all different angles of how to handle situations when it comes to risk. And I applied for a scholarship for that as well.
That's in May?
That's June 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Okay.
In Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay, any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Facilities.
Good morning, Commissioners. Savannah Clement, Public Services. So tomorrow I have a sole source request on the consent agenda. And you won't see these very often. There's only a couple different ways to really kind of bypass our purchasing policy and state statute for meeting certain thresholds and guidelines. This is one of the two. And so a sole source purchase has specific requirements, and we often actually run them by legal because they are so few and far between. And so this one pertains specifically to the fire panel at our juvenile facility. We recently had, an audit / review from our local fire jurisdictions on some of the components at our buildings. This one failed. So we went out to secure bids to get a replacement panel and found that essentially it is a sole source, meaning one vendor, because all of the other vendors require a complete redo of the system. So sensors, wiring, the panel, which made it very expensive. And they kind of have a hold on the market, I guess, as far as different systems and their compatibilities. They don't cross, they're not cross compatible. And so we found that out. We did actually get 2 other bids, and one they refused to bid because they knew they weren't compatible. But the price did come in at $49,800, and that is just to replace the panel, not the entire system. Yes, the other bids came up at about, I think, $120 because it was the full system. And so that's what made this available for sole source, is because it is licensed and patented as one of the options, sole distributor, the compatibility of the system, and the replacement of a single part of a unit. And so it meets all of those requirements. And we did, again, vet it through legal to make sure that they were okay with it. And so that will be on the board agenda for tomorrow to give us the go-ahead to do that replacement.
What do you mean when you say it failed? What does that mean?
Without knowing the details, is that it is no longer functioning as it should be. Now, with the juvenile and jail, they're 24-hour facilities, which means we have a 24-hour fire watch, essentially. So when these systems fail or they're inadequate or they don't pass muster from, in this case, I think it's CalETS 2 that does these walkthroughs. Sean might know. And I can't really lean on you anymore. And so anyways, they made us aware that it was not meeting muster because of XYZ. I can bring tomorrow with me that actual report for the board if you'd like. It's not a problem.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is if I buy a new car and they look at everything and my rear window doesn't roll down automatically, that means it doesn't pass. So
I see.
Wondering what the severity of what it doesn't pass
Of the deficiencies?
Yeah.
Okay, I can find out later today and just email it to you guys, but also bring it tomorrow just to have it prepared. I also asked our facilities team for the bids that we received from the other companies to have as well. I just don't have them by this morning. Any other questions? Okay. And then I did have another facilities item that is not on the agenda, but Ian had brought up the discussion on custodial and looking at making some budget adjustments for his department. What Ian's referencing has not been uncommon. A lot of departments have reached out to me as far as ways that they can get services outside of the public areas that we have established. Ian, I use this a lot now, but he's kind of a unicorn in his department. He's off-site. They have a small public area, but a lot of offices at restrooms, and they have a pretty large break area. And I know his staff spent considerable time cleaning. We're in a similar situation at Public Works. And I've been approached by other departments on what to do. And just so the board is aware, the paths to secure their own custodial are 2 different ways, which is a budget amendment and then securing that service. Or if they have the ability in their professional services line item, if they have available monies, then they can use that.
And it's hard because as a facilities department, I'm working under the direction of the board. And then I'm also getting departments that are asking for resources, and technically they can do those things, but we've been recommending coming to the board, which Ian did this morning, and making you guys aware and getting some kind of approval, because the direction we received was to cut the custodial contract. The board thankfully allowed us to hire 2 extra help employees to determine what the load was going to be. And so just wanted to bring it to your attention that Ian's not going to be the first or the last in making this request, because of the private areas and those private restrooms are for some departments, it's a lot of work for them. Also, just adding in that Ian's a department head. Joseph, I've talked to Joseph, he's a department head, but we also have elected officials that have been making the requests as well, who have a little bit different leniencies as far as how they spend their department funds. And so I've been trying to give some direction. What I'm asking for is that they all keep it consistent with what we pay our extra help. I don't want to get into a situation where we have an established hourly rate, we have good people that are helping us, and then another department pays them $5 more an hour, and so it becomes an issue of unfairness. And then also the board's intent, I think, was to cut budgetary costs, and this won't be doing that. And so I just wanted to kind of bring it up. I hope to have further discussions tomorrow with the board tomorrow afternoon and giving you guys some updates as far as where we're at costs, just January 1 to date, and kind of have some broad discussions with you on the topic. Mainly just a heads up.
How much have we dipped in reserves so far? Did you give me a number around 2 million or something like that? My point being is we're spending more than we're taking in.
To kind of put it in here. So we started the year with about, $8.7 million. The current general fund cash balance is about 1.88.
Yeah. There's the other side of the coin. Okay.
And I gotta tell you, I've vacuumed my own office. I've taken out my own trash. I clean my own house. At our business, we have a list of chores that the employees have to do to keep it clean. And I think that given the circumstances and the situation that we're in, asking to just help keep your own work area clean, I don't know that that's too much of an ask. I understand that it's burdensome, but we can find some workarounds to make that work. And we do need to find areas that we can cut, because it's a matter of priorities. If you want to hire somebody to clean your bathroom, then you're probably going to have to let somebody go on the front line. We just can't do everything right now. And so understanding the situation, I don't want to make light of it. I'm not saying that it's not a need, but I think that for the time being, what we need to do is understand that we're under a financial crunch. And if we look at the list of priorities, having our employees keep our work area clean, I think that that's not too much of an ask.
All right. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Some people don't like to clean toilets.
So good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer, and Public Works has I'm going to use fun words today, a plethora of items for you this week. So we have, I'm going to start with, it's not the first one on the list. I'm going to start with the countywide delineators closeout. So this was our 2025 projects to replace county delineators on various roads throughout the county. The project has been completed satisfactory. The total cost was $154,886, which is $5,000 under the original bid. So I'll tell Flo I was pinching my pennies for her. This was funded by HISIP, which is the Highway Safety Improvement Program, at a 90% reimbursement rate. So that is completed, satisfactory. The next,
Most of that was feds.
yes,
Yeah.
it was a predominantly federally funded project. Every 2 years, we complete a county road safety plan, and we include projects within that plan, and the state goes through those and funds out of that plan projects. And so this was not the most recent plan. It was the one before that. The most recent plan, we have 3 projects will be moving that we were awarded that you'll see coming through short in the next couple of years. So then we have amendment number 4 with RH2 Engineering. This is for the Riderwood Supplemental Water Source Project. We're finalizing obtaining our federal funds for this. Has congressionally delegated money of over $1 million. They are requesting an additional engineering report and some archaeological study. So we went back to the consultant to ask cost on that, and their estimate was $45,500, which we are asking to amend their contract by.
So this is to, just so I'm really clear, this is to satisfy the feds.
So we can.
In order to get the $1 million that they
Yes.
awarded to it.
So, and it's doing a very specific format engineering report with all of the data that they want in it. We have done reports in SEPA. So it's that and doing archaeological reports. So it's those 2 items that we're working on. So that is what this supplement is for. So then the next, I believe it's 6 items are those resolutions for applying for Brian Abbott Fish Barrier Passage removal projects. 5 of them are design only projects. 2 on Delameter Road, 1 on Delameter Creek, 1 on Abernathy Creek. These resolutions basically set who the conservation district is going to be talking to. The applications are due today, and we're in the process of getting those all submitted. So a quick rundown, we have 1 on Delameter Road at milepost 5.4, which would replace a 10-foot by 6-foot concrete box on Delameter Creek. This would be the last fish barrier on Delameter Creek, which is why we are applying for that one. Then there's another one on Delameter Road, which is actually Arkansas Creek, which is the road just downstream. This is the most expensive design that we're applying for. We're estimating a design cost of $815,000 due to the size and the location. When you're on a busier road, this is right at the beginning of the road. It's milepost 0.59. So when it's a bigger structure, so planning for the traffic around it, because this is before Hazeldale Road, so the traffic is heaviest on this road, and it is a larger structure. We're replacing a large box with a 12 that also has a 12-foot diameter overflow. So it's going to be I guess a 50-foot span bridge, rough guess off the top of my head. The rest of these projects are all around $500,000 for design. So we have the 2 on Delameter, we have 2 on South Toutle Road, 1 for Outlet Creek, and the other for, now I've lost the other sheet. So we've got Outlet Creek and Studebaker Creek. That's the one. And then we have 1 on Latham Road for Wyant Creek. We did work with the Lower Columbia Fish Barrier Removal Group to select projects. These are all high priority projects for them. And the remaining project is a construction project that we are about 60% designed with Brian Abbott, and that's on Goble Creek Loop, and it's the North Fork of Goble Creek Loop. That box has been damaged in storms. It does flood, and that is a heavily traveled road by log trucks. Even though it's a loop, this is the direction they tend to go out because it's an easier access onto Rose Valley Road. So those are the projects we're applying for. The process takes, so the applications are due now. August, they rank the list, then it goes to the governor, and then it goes to the legislature. So these will not be awarded until July of 2027 if we're successful.
So these are all requests we're making for funds.
Yes,
There's no guarantee we'll get them.
no
We're just-
guarantee we'll get them.
We're filling out the application and hoping some of these come our way.
Yes, it all
Okay.
depends on what the state budget does and if fish passage remains their priority.
So Susan, I'm on the board that approves these projects. How do we as a county go about presenting those to the board? I was going to ask that question in our last meeting, but I didn't. So how do we come up with which areas that have fish blockage are we going to submit for projects?
So for Cowlitz County, the way we do it is we know so there's a statewide website that you can go on that shows all the fish blockages that have been documented within the state. That's called Salmonscape, I believe is the name, that you can go online, and there's a bunch of different green, red, and orange dots that you can click on, and it'll tell you what creek it is, who owns it, and what passage barrier it is. So we work with knowing where those are, with what we know are maintenance issues. And then we work closely with the Lower Columbia Fish Barrier Removal Board, because they actually have gone through all of the known barriers in the Lower Columbia Basin and prioritized them. They didn't rake them 1 through 1,000. They did these 30 are our top priority and then broke them down that way. And so we had a meeting with the board in, I believe it was early December, and we talked about which projects that we were thinking of, and then they recommended which they felt were important for them. They are actively involved on the technical board. We also, since we're working on that North Fork project, actually RCO reached out to us and said, we really think that's a good project for you to apply for. And it's a priority for us because of the road damage that occurs in that area. It's a priority for them for fish. So it kind of becomes a nice relationship for all of us. So that's how we come up with them. We work with our partners and come up with the good ideas, and we try and prioritize what is beneficial to fish and beneficial for transportation, because we do have a 15% required match on these projects. All right, what do I have next? So we have the annual update and accomplishments for fiscal year 2025 for the Washington State Department of Transportation. This is part of our requirements for receiving federal highway funds, and it's a report based on Title VI accomplishments that we're reaching out without bias and providing language services as requested. So the report includes a summary of the properties that we've purchased in 2025 and the projects, the construction projects that started in 2025. It talks about training that Public Works staff has completed. And it's just an assurance to WashDOT that yes, we are complying with our Title VI plan. Annually needs to be accepted by the board, and then we submit it. Our deadline is, I believe, February 1st that we need to submit this annual report. Last item, your motion item for the day, is the emergency contract and the bond in lieu of retainage for the Barnes Drive excuse me, emergency repair project. As you've probably seen on the Facebook there, they have been out there working. We are almost filled all the way up to the top, and we are putting in our overflow contract. We did this as a unit price contract. So we estimated quantities and they gave us cost for quantities based on our estimated number of quantities. So our contract is for $646,325. We are anticipated that sometime this week, we will be up to the level, the gravel level. And the question will be coordination with Lakeside of when we can pave. And we will make the decision of whether we are going to cut the paving from the contract and Public Works maintains it. And then as soon as Lakeside opens, we go out and pave it. Or if we're lucky and Lakeside is open and weather cooperates, we'll go out and pave it now before we open it up. But the goal is to get this open as soon as possible. But we need to have a good plan if we're leaving it in gravel of how we're going to be able to maintain it without having to have somebody sitting there all day, every day on a grader, running back and forth. So we're moving forward. Quig Brothers has been very good to work with, and we're hoping to have this open very shortly.
Well, you got some local homeowners down there that are pretty excited about it. There's some person posting all the time.
Yes.
Taking pictures and stuff there.
So please stay out of the active construction zone when people are working. They're not safe places to go and observe. It's a danger to the employees, both the contractors and ours, and for the person being out there, especially if you're not in your safety gear. I believe that's all I have.
I think that's it. Sean, miscellaneous. We covered one of them.
Good morning again, Commissioner Sean Rui. Today we're here to chat about the Rural County Public Facilities Tax, or also known as the 0.09 grant dollars that are available to other agencies for a variety of things. So this is the 0.09% credit against sales tax. The revenues are to use to facilitate public facilities serving economic development purposes. And we have had pretty extensive use of this in the past 2 years. We built up a large reserve. We've spent that down. Current balance is about $2 million. We have multi-year awards in place of about 1.99 million. For 2026, that includes City of Longview, Port of Longview, our Parks Department, CEDC, and COG. And then we still have about $70,000 of loans outstanding. The final one will pay off in 2028. So I think, Kelly, do you have a copy of the schedule to put up there? I think I sent that over to Bailey last week.
So this 2 million balance, is that after all this stuff you talked
No,
about?
that's
Okay.
before. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking, I don't,
Our annual revenue on this is about $3 million.
yeah.
So if we already have 1.5 of commitments for, 1.99 in commitments, we could look at between however low you want to take that ending fund balance. I'd recommend we keep it at that $2 million level and maybe look at a $1 to $1.5 million award for 2026. Kind of wanted to talk about the schedule moving forward. So we're looking at opening the forms up on February 9th.
I was gonna say, you gotta have that pretty quick, don't you?
Mhm.
'Cause it,
So if we actually, maybe it's on the save drive here. I'll take a look. Here we go. So we can see up here, January 26th, that's today, a workshop with the commissioners to talk about this. Get the forms and other advertising out by February 9th. have all of our applications in by March 17th at 4:30 PM. We'll review all the documents, prepare some necessary information we need, work with those people to get any supplementary information we need from them, and then start meeting with the board on these, possibly the 7th and 21st. Review with you the actual items, see if there's who we want to bring in. If we don't want to bring in everyone. And then once we've made those decisions, put some contracts and awards together for the middle of May. If that timeline sounds good to the board, we can start working forward on this. What we really do need is for the documents itself, a maximum award value. And so that's kind of where we're at today. I'd probably make the recommendation of 1.5 as a maximum award, keep our ending fund balance about the $2 million, and move forward with it, keep people funding.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, we've had the luxury, some of that built up for us, and so we could do some of that, but yeah, I don't have any problem with that, Sean.
Okay. So we'll get those documents put together. Any other questions on real public facilities?
Oh,
I have a,
yeah.
I don't know if it pertains to what we're
Sure.
talking about, but I was up in Cougar last week and I got an earful from the group that I was meeting with regards to, are there any dollars that are available to them? They're not, the DOT has already told them with regards to the stretch of road that they want to reduce the speed limit on. DOT has already said they will not reduce the speed limit, but there are some things there's some speed reducing measures that they might be able to take, signs, flashing lights, radar feedback signs, that type stuff, strips in the road, rumble strips in the road, to get people to slow down. Is this something that would be used for, these funds?
So the term public facility serving economic development is quite broad. That could mean, I have a whole list here. Bridges, roads, water systems, sewer systems, earth stabilization. So possibly as an ancillary road item, we could look into that. It's a possibility. We have to do a little more research onto that.
Okay.
As we get into 2026 lodging taxes, maybe that might be a more appropriate item, but we could look at all the opportunities available there.
What we, through Tootle, they had a request there, and the fire department was, I think, did half the sign, the flashing speed limit sign that they wanted to put through Tootle. And we did a little bit of that, and I'm not sure where we took that.
I recall that item going in. I don't recall where that came from. I'd have to research that. Yeah.
Came from. So
we did a flashing light in that crosswalk for Waltz Meats in Woodland too. But
yeah.
I don't know where that funding came from.
Yeah. So I guess the point is there is something out there, just not sure where it's at.
I think some of that funding is going to depend if it's a state highway or a county road and other items around that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely a state highway.
We'll get going on getting these documents together and getting out to the public.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know we have some HR stuff. I do have a couple of miscellaneous because I sit on the legislative committee for WASAC. And so I thought I'd run over some of these ones that kind of piqued my interest that they're working on. That would involve public works. They're still trying to clean up the local government procurement. They got a bill, HB 2566, to try and clean that up and make that process easier. Who knows how far all these things are going to go? I don't know. Jail medical priority. They're looking at House Bill 1734 or budget proviso. Some places are wondering why we can't, now we provide medical over at our jail. Some places are trying to, why can't we work with local hospitals or do some other kind of contractual thing? So I think they're trying to put something together that gives us a little broader group of what we can look at. Housing stuff, they're still looking at rural accessory dwelling units, local lodging tax option for Airbnbs, Verbos, those type of things. Let's see, tort reform. I would like to see some of these go. I don't know if they will. House Bill 2393 would make county staff not responsible for accidental drug deaths in one of our facilities. Senate Bill 6239, all tort claims would have to go through an arbitration before trial. Let's see, one on tax increment financing to improve that in the legislature. What they have in there, it's House Bill 2451, requires notification, and it requires notification and working with all entities, which would be the county, would be added to that. Now they have to work with fire departments when they do arbitration with them, but it will require that they now have to work with counties if they're doing that. And it would tighten up the restrictions on eligible areas. It couldn't be, for example, it couldn't be areas that they've already started developing and now they just want to take advantage of. So they're trying to tighten that up. We asked for an opt-out, but there's no opt-out at this time. And then they're working on binding interest arbitration language that would add the ability to pay as a item that has to be considered in any binding arbitration. So you just, right now, I think they just look at comparables and decide what it's going to be, but they would have to add what's the ability of the entity to pay, the county in our case, or others in that. So that was some of they go through a lot of stuff, and who knows how far any of these will get, but that's some of the things being worked on. I just want to bring those out.
I have a couple also, Mr. Chairman, just real quick. You may not know, but the Woodland City Council did approve the zoning for the cannabis location. So they got that done last week.
Yeah, that's no surprise.
One of the things that they talked about, and I talked to Sean, he's not in here anymore. They continually brought up the fact their school district is asking for an increase in their impact fees from, I believe it's like $5,400 for a single family unit to $10,900. And then it's even more than that. It's over 40% on a multifamily. And the statement was made over and over that if Cowlitz County would pay their fair share with regards to the impact fees, they wouldn't have this problem. And what they were saying is that within the city limits, there was 10, and I had this polled, there was 10 permits for building and like 400 outside the city limits. And I talked with Sean, and he said that as a non-GMA county, we can't charge impact fees. That correct, Sean? So I just want to have something to go back to that council with regards to where we're at with impact fees and why.
Well, what I tell them is, well, then don't charge impact fees. Quit making it so expensive for your people down here.
Well, and the crazy thing was there was a developer there who's going to be putting in an apartment complex, and his impact fees alone would go from $130,000 to $370,000 just in impact fees for his project, based on the number of units he's going to put in there.
So it's decision, I'm probably not as nice about it. It's decisions that they're making, and then they're blaming us for the problem. And that always kind of grates me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I don't know if we can or can't. I don't think we can.
So my understanding is that non-GMA counties cannot do an impact fee. I'll do more research for a GMA city. I don't know what our UGA area is for the city itself and how that impacts it. We can always look at LTA impact fees, local transportation area impact fees of that nature. But I don't believe the board's been supportive of that in the past either.
I'm not in support of it. One of the things that I don't understand about it that makes zero sense is the area that is being charged the impact fee, where the impact is going to take place, the impact fee cannot be used in that area. It has to be used somewhere else, correct? I don't understand how that makes any sense whatsoever, but that was a topic that I'm sure we're gonna hear about
Yeah.
moving forward. The other thing is I sat on we had our noxious weed board meeting. I have a question about the budget. Their IT expense was drastically reduced in 2026, and it's gonna almost triple in 2027. Do we know why that is?
So my understanding is in the 2026 budget for the IT allocation, they took advantage of a one-time reduction for the reserve buildup within IT
Yeah.
and reduced that across the board for the allocation to the departments and anyone else within the county. So in 2027, that one-time reduction will be gone and it'll return back to normal levels.
Well, and this just may be an anomaly, but in that budget that I saw for the weed board, it's significantly higher than what they're being charged in 25.
It's
For
in 2025
2027.
as well.
Yeah.
I would need to look at that closer on that allocation. As we continue to provide services for the software and other items and need to look at our hardware replacements. I know I've met with the IT director on that once already. And so we're trying to get a better handle on what that's going to look like going forward and how that allocation's applied out.
Okay. Another thing, I received 3 phone calls this last week from business owners within our county that there is a House bill, and I want to say it's 2430, that is looking to impose a flat tax on all cannabis sales with regards to whether it's 1 gram, half gram, whatever the situation is. And what is happening, what the woman who is bringing this to the floor owns a small grow herself. And from what I understand, she wants to raise the tax on everybody throughout the state so that she gets a larger portion of the tax that's generated through it. But what will happen, I looked and we have just under 300 jobs in Cowlitz County that are employed through cannabis. And my personal view on cannabis is irrelevant here, but it is, if this goes through, what's going to end up happening is people are going to stop buying it at the dispensaries and they're going to go right to the black market, and we're going to go right back to where we were before. You would think that there would be a class in economics that would be required in order to hold public office, but the more they tax these people, from what I understand, it's going to go, what would normally cost $27 will now cost $77 for the same amount of cannabis. So there's a lot of cannabis business owners throughout the state that are fighting this. They asked if we would give them some time, and I said, contact Kelly and she'll get you on the agenda. And I don't know what we can do, but they can bring it before us, and we can show approval or displeasure for that motion. But when it comes to affecting businesses, like I said, my personal view on cannabis is a moot point. It's legal in this state. We have businesses that are licensed and certified to do business. And when we impose these restrictions and taxation on those businesses, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So,
State of Washington doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
It's like minimum wage, keep pushing restaurants out. Okay. Anytime they're meeting up there in Olympia, it's stressful.
No man's property is safe for the legislature's
Yeah, because
possession.
it's a room full of jackasses. Okay, Jessica. I think, yep.
Good morning again, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I have one request to fill this morning from Office of Public Defense. One of their senior public defense attorneys has put in her notice, so he would like to fill her position at the senior attorney level.
Just replacing.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Will there be a reduction in your budget due to the fact that does she have the same experience? Are you starting this new one at the same level? Or are you going to start at a lower level and pay?
I'm always trying to find replacements, even when we are staffed. The replacement, I have my fingers crossed, hoping she will join us in replacing This attorney would start at step 1. I believe Ms. Foster is step 3.
I don't know it off the
Yeah,
top of my head.
so it would be a reduction. It's still the senior level is the higher paid attorneys, but it would be a reduction.
Okay,
And then I know Shelley had an executive session for potential litigation at 11 is. Okay. I know Doug's calling in, but I also have a request for an executive session for performance of a public employee.
okay, we take yours, time frame,
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So executive session, performance of a public employee, 10 minutes, we'll adjourn.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 10:38 a.m. The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 10:43 a.m.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. Shelley, I know you had one potential litigation.
Yes, Shelley Pierce, Risk and Safety Manager. We're asking for about 20 minutes. I believe Doug and Jessica are joining us as well. Yep.
Okay, so we'll adjourn potential litigation about 20 minutes. Oop, the other one just got over.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 2 minutes until 11:06 a.m.
Okay. Back from executive session, no actions taken. Shelley, anything else?
Again, no actions were taken. We are going to review and revise the policy section 8 that speaks about employees having legal representation for a single attorney or defendant as an employee. We'll look at the policy and have conversations about board interpretation again by a single counsel, not multiple representation. That's it. Any questions?
You just want us to affirm that?
Please
That
affirm.
we'll follow that policy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
On the other half, the risk, yeah, that's what we're asking the board to do. We've had an inquiry from an employee. Oh, thank you, Shelley. On the other half of the risk committee, we've had an inquiry from an employee whether or not on a licensing matter, whether they can have multiple counsel.
So
And historically, and I think the wording of the policy is you have a single counsel. So just wanted to affirm with the board, that's a continuing position of it.
is with me, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's really it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Anything else? We're all good. Okay. We will adjourn.